This is a CBS News special report. I'm Jeff Glor in St. Pete Beach, Florida, with the latest on Hurricane Irma. Good morning. This powerful Category 4 hurricane is just really beginning to batter this state with maximum sustained winds of 130 miles an hour. Anthony Mason is at CBS News headquarters in New York. He'll be getting the latest forecast from meteorologist Eric Fisher in just a moment. Irma made landfall about 90 minutes ago in the lower Keys, the chain of islands off the southern tip of Florida. The eye hit Cudjoe Key, about 20 miles east of Key West. Irma is now moving northward up the Gulf Coast toward us here in St. Pete Beach. There's a very wide storm. Hurricane or tropical storm force winds extend about 220 miles from the center. Some places could get as much as a foot of rain. Irma is already blamed for 3 deaths here in Florida after killing more than 24 as it tore across the Caribbean last week. Well over 1 million homes and businesses in Florida have lost power. More than 6 million people were ordered to evacuate as this storm approached. Many of the shelters in this area have been activated by the governor. In all, about 7,000 members of the Florida National Guard are working. We have a team of correspondents, producers, and photographers deployed throughout the hurricane zone. Manny Bojorquez is in Naples, which could get a big brunt of this storm and is already getting that right now. Actually, we're going to go to Manny Bojorquez is in Fort Lauderdale. Manny?
That's right. We are in Fort Lauderdale, where winds are expected to reach 75 miles per hour later today. And as you can see, we are well on our way to that. What we've been seeing here throughout the morning is these gusts picking up, the rain increasing. Any of these shrubs or tree branches that are not strong are falling into this canal right here. And speaking of this canal, I can tell you that from being here last night to what we're seeing now, it is definitely rising. So the concern here, not just the strong winds that we're seeing right now and the rain, but of course the storm surge and the flooding that might happen. Here in Broward County, you have 15,000 people who are riding this storm out in shelters. That's what officials wanted to see. And the reason why is because those buildings are strong enough to withstand some of the impacts of the wind here, but also because right now you have a situation because of these weather conditions where you cannot have law enforcement on the roads. They cannot respond to all the calls that they're getting right now. We do know that as the storm continues to pummel this area, there are power lines down, there are trees down, and you can see exactly why that would be happening. There are palm fronds that are just swirling around the parking lot next to us right now. We are cognizant of the fact that there is the danger of flying debris here right now. But again, we wanted to let you know what the conditions are. To give you perspective, where we are right now is about 100 miles away from where Irma made landfall. That should tell you how large this storm is and how widespread the impacts will be. Think about that, 100 miles away, and the impacts, the effects of this hurricane are that strong. Jeff?
Manny, thank you very much. You talk about the breadth of this hurricane. Mark Strassman is in Miami and southeastern Florida, which isn't going to get the worst, but it's still very bad. Mark?
It is really bad, Jeff. These are really punishing winds here. You can sort of see on my face and just all around me here. When you cross a street like this, which really is a wind tunnel, you have to look both ways, not for traffic because there is no traffic, but for flying debris, for tree limbs, and for traffic signs. Flash flooding, another issue here. There's flash flooding up and down here. It's not coming from storm surge. It's just flash flooding, at least so far. Most people, of course, have evacuated here, and with good reason. This was the largest evacuation in Miami-Dade's history, an area that obviously has seen lots of hurricanes come and go over the years. But for people who had decided to stay put and hunker down, they're really on their own at this point. Just as Manny was talking about with emergency responders up in Broward, in Miami-Dade, by and large, they're not responding to calls. If somebody needs help, they got to figure it out on their own. So there are a number of people probably who are having serious second thoughts about their decision to stay put. More than 700,000 people have lost power in South Florida's 3 major counties. That could be a lingering issue that goes on for days, even weeks, depending on how widespread power outages are in the rest of Florida. these conditions are not getting better. In fact, in the last hour or so, I would say, they've picked up and gone up to the next level. We had one measurement, a wind gust of 98 miles an hour about a half hour ago. In general, I would say these are 60-plus mile-an-hour winds here in downtown Miami. And this is really no place for anyone to be. The advice to people, wherever they are at this point, is no matter how scared you get, you have to hunker down. You cannot leave. The worst place to be during these conditions is out in a car, exposed on a highway, exposed to the full conditions and wrath of the storm. That's the worst. So, Jeff, bad here, and again, it doesn't look as though it's going to improve anytime soon.